Hi, I'm Juliet from Spoilt Russian Beads, and today I'm going to show you how to make these gorgeous Russian leaves that I've got on my charm bracelet here. We do this as a kit with all the beautiful colours that you can see here included on it, and we also have this great pattern as well which shows you step by step with lovely photographic instructions how to make these Russian leaves. So to make these beautiful Russian leaves, you're going to need two different colours of seed beads. I'm going to be using size 15 seed beads to make these very delicate little leaves that I've added to my charm bracelet here. You can in fact use any seed bead you like. You can use a size 11 or you can even use a size 8 to make big chunky Russian leaves. But I'm going to be showing you with size 15 seed beads today. So because I'm using a size 15 seed bead, I'm also going to be using a size 12 beading needle, and I'm also going to be using some Fireline beading thread to make my leaves on. The other thing you're going to need is a little stopper bead, and this should be any bead from your stash that's not really related to this project, because you're going to slip it off later on when you've finished with it. So let's get started. So to begin with, you need to take your needle and you need to thread it up with a length of around about 30 to 40 centimeters of Fireline. And what you want to do is pick up your stopper bead and you want to thread that onto your needle and take it all the way down to your tail of your thread. And you need to be leaving a tail that is around about sort of 15 centimeters long or so. And you want to go back through the stopper bead there so that the thread sits around the bead and it doesn't slip off, like so. And now you're ready to start making your leaves. And if you have a look at the leaves that I've got on my charm bracelet here, you'll see that there's a main colour in the leaves and then there's a little accent colour as well. So you need to decide which is going to be your main colour and which is going to be your accent colour. So I've decided with this leaf that my main colour is going to be the blue and my accent colour is going to be the pink here. So what I'm going to do is start off by picking up one of my accent colours, and then I'm going to pick up a total of 9 of my main colour here. 9, and then I'm going to pick up one more of my accent colour and then one more of my main colour, and I'm going to take those down my beading thread and so that they sit against that little stopper bead there. Then what you want to do is miss out those last 3 beads that you added and stitch back through the 4th bead like so. There we go. You want to pull it all up tight, and what will happen is the beads will all begin to snug up like this, and this will get tighter as I go. And now what I'm going to do is peyote up the row of beads here, adding one of my main colour beads, which is my blue bead, every time. So I am picking up a blue bead, take my thread down, and I am exiting that 4th bead there. I'm going to miss out the next bead and go through the next bead. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to just move my hands out of the way so that you can see what I'm doing here, what I've done. I'm going to let you take a look at that. So I picked up my bead, I have missed out the next bead in the pattern and threaded through the next bead there, and hopefully you can see that nice and clearly there. I'm going to pull this nice and tight, and there you go. Hold that up to the camera so you can see what I've done there. Put my finger behind it and you can focus on that. And you can see that, and I'm going to continue that all the way up now. So I've picked up one of my main colour. I'm going to skip over the next bead that I get to and go through the next bead. There we go. I'm going to do it again. So pick up one of my main colour beads, skip over the next bead that I get to in the pattern and go through the following bead. There we go. And do it one last time, picking up one of my main colour beads, skipping over the next bead and going through the next bead, and in this case the next bead that I get to is that accent bead there, so I'm going through that accent bead there. I'll let you take a look at that. So now what I've ended up with is a nice ladder of peyote there. There we go, and I'm exiting that accent bead. And now what I need to do is turn the corner and start stitching back down again. So I'm going to pick up one of my blue beads and I'm going to go through that last blue bead that I just added actually. There we go. And then I'm going to continue adding a row of peyote with the blue beads, going through all those up beads there down my little spine of peyote. And I'm going to go all the way down, but I'm going to stop one stitch short of the bottom. So I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to pop that flat so you can take a look at it. So you can see I have done my row of peyote and I have stopped one bead short of the bottom, so I haven't added that final bead in there, and that's because what we need to do is make a decrease now. So if you look at these leaves, you see how they are tapered, so we need to make them so they do this lovely diagonal on them, and so we need to do the decrease now. So the way we do that is to pick up one of the accent beads and then pick up one of the main color beads and then go through that main color bead that you just added. I'll just move my thread out of the way so you can see where I'm going with that one there, like so. If I pull that tight now, you will see how that is beginning now to create that diagonal there on that leaf. So the next thing I'm going to do is pick up one of my blue beads, my main colors. Sorry, I just wobbled the camera there, I do apologize. And just peyote all the way up to the top again. There we go. So my stitching looks like that now. And now what I need to do is do an increase on the top here. So the way I'm going to do the increase is to pick up one of the main colors, then one of the accent beads, and then one of the main colors again. Take those down to my rest of my beadwork, and then I'm going to go back through that first main color bead that I just added there. And pull that tight and take it down towards the rest of my beadwork there. Now, in theory, what you really want to happen is at this stage, you want the beads to sit like that, so that those accent beads start stacking up along that diagonal edge there. But you may well find that they don't want to sit there at this stage, but don't worry about that, because when you come back, as you do the next round of your peyote, you'll be able to, as you go through this bead later on, you'll be able to push everything into shape. So don't worry if it flips about a bit at this stage. Now what I want to do is continue with my main colour and just peyote down that line of beadwork there. And again, I'm going to stop one bead short of the bottom. Like so. And I'm going to add my little decrease and my accent bead. So I'm going to picking up an accent bead, picking up one of my main colour and going through that very last main colour bead that I just added there. There we go. And I'm just going to continue with that, continue exactly the same pattern. So I'm picking up a main colour, going through I'm peyoteing all the way up to the top there. And again, this is the point at which when you're adding this sign or bead in, if your beads aren't sitting correctly at the top here, this is where you can get them sitting nice and straight. You go through that final main colour there. Don't get your thread hooked around like I just did. It's very easily done with a Russian leaf because you do have these little diagonal edges. It's easy to get your threads hooked over each other. And now I'm ready to do the increase again. So I pick up a blue bead, an accent bead and another one of my blue beads. Take those down to my beadwork and go through that first blue bead that I just added here. There we go. And I can pull that into place. And again, if it doesn't go just right now, it doesn't matter because I can put that back into place a little bit later on, but you can see that sitting just right now. And then I can peyote down and do the decrease, and you just want to continue doing this now until the first half of your leaf is the size that you want it to be. And in a lot of the leaves that I have done for my charm bracelet, I think I have ended up with a total of around about 6 accent beads on each side of my piece, and you need to finish up with an equal quantity top and bottom. I have nearly finished the first half of my leaf here. I'm just putting my final 3 on the top there, and I'm going to go through that third one that first one that I've just added in this final step here, and bring that down to the rest of my beadwork and pull it all tight. Push that one into place, there we go. And you see that these final 3 beads are a little bit loose, and what I tend to do is just stitch back down through my beadwork and then back up through the adjacent beads there, just to tighten them all up so that those final 3 beads just all sit as you want them to and are nice and snug. So I'm just stitching back through it all here. This is why you do need these smaller needles, so that you can get back through all of your beadwork. So I'm finishing off just by, there we go, coming out here on my last of my main colour beads. So that's the first half of my leaf done. Now what you need to do is to take your needle and you want to work your way down all of the beadwork here so that you're popping out that very first accent bead there, which is the same bead that your stopper bead is popping out of. And there's no set way of doing this really. You just need to find the path that's easiest for you and just work your way down through all of the adjacent beads. So I've stitched all the way back through my beadwork now, and I'm now exiting that same bead that my very first stopper bead was coming out of. So what I'm going to do now is just slide off that stopper bead because I don't need it anymore, and then take these 2 ends of thread and I'm going to knot them together in the center here. I'm tying a knot there, and then I'm going to tie another double knot where I wrap my thread back around the loop a few times before I pull it tight like so. There we go. And in a minute I'll be able to trim off this tail of thread here. Okay, so I'm now in the center actually of my leaf, and I'm going to start working back up in this direction, just mirroring exactly what I've done there. So what I need to do now is pick up one of my main color beads and go through the next up bead in the pattern there, and peyote down that line there, adding a main color bead all the way as I go. And once more I'm going to stop 1 bead short from the bottom, like so. And now what I'm going to do is pick up an accent bead and a main colour bead, and I'm doing that little decrease that we did before, and so I'm going back through that last main colour bead that I just added there, like so. And there we go. And I'm now going to just peyote all the way to the top, adding one of my main colour beads in between each of the up beads as I go. There we are. That's the last one there. And then I need to do the increase that we were doing on this side earlier. So I need to pick up one of the main colours, an accent colour and a main colour again. And go through that first bead that I just added in this step. Like that. Pull it tight. If you want to, you can push them into position, but you know that when you come back up this line, you'll be able to do that. And then I want to peyote down to the bottom. Again, adding a main colour bead in between each of the up beads. And again, stopping one short of the bottom. And you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just mirroring exactly what we did before. So I'm picking up an accent bead and main colour bead and then going back through the last bead that I just added. And you can see that already we're starting to mirror what's happening on the first side. So I'm going to keep going now until this side exactly matches this side, and I'll come back to you when I've done that. So you can see now I've just about finished my second half of my leaf, and I've got my last 3 beads on there, so I'm going to go back through that first bead that I've just added there, and just like we did on the other side, I'm just going to reinforce all of those 3 beads by just stitching back through my beadwork and going back through all 3 of those beads one more time, just so that they sit in the right position and they're nice and firmly in place there. And I'm finishing off by exiting out of that last main colour bead there. And you can see how the 2 sides mirror one another now. If I count from the centre here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 accent beads on this side, and on this side again, if you count the centre bead, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've got the same down here and the same along here. So at this stage, I'm just going to use my little clover thread cutter here just to trim off the tail of thread that I left in the beginning there. And then what we need to do now is to join these 2 sides up together so that the leaves make that pretty sort of leaf shape there, and we join the 2 edges together. So the way we do that is we're exiting from one of our main colour. I'm going to pick up another of my main colour beads, and I'm going to go through the last main colour bead on the other side of my leaf there, and as you pull that all together, that will pinch up and it will form that lovely leaf shape that you're aiming for. And what you can do is just go back through all of those beads one more time just to reinforce that, so that it's nice and strong at that point. And so I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to stitch down into my beadwork, and I'm just going to turn a corner and go back up through it all again in just a moment. Okay. It's really warm here, and I've got really slippery fingers all of a sudden, so I can't put it through that last bead. There we go. Now I'm back through. So I'm Now just going to need to finish off my thread at this point if I would like to, but you can see on some of my leaves on my charm bracelet, if I move it over here a bit, you can see on some of these leaves I have, if I can find one, actually added a spine to the leaf, and that's when you can do that at this stage if you want to. So if I wanted to add a spine, what I could do is pick up some of my accent beads and thread them onto my needle at this stage, and then just take them down the center of my leaf there and stitch back down through that central bead, and then you can come up through the beadwork and exit some of these other accent beads and just add the rest of those spines onto your leaf if you would like to. So you can do that at this stage, but I think they look really pretty just left open as well. So I'm just going to finish off my thread now just by stitching down a little bit further and then just tying some half hitch knots around the thread in the beads. Yeah, I've really managed to bend my needle this time. I don't know about you, but I managed to really bend size 12. Me and size 12 beading needles don't get on that well, and I do tend to go through them and bend them quite a lot, and this one is completely unrecognizable now, so I'm not quite sure how I managed to do that, but it's still going, so I'll work with it. So I'm going through the threads in between my beadwork, going through my loop there and pulling that tight. I'm going to do that one more time just in another spot on my beadwork before I trim off my thread. Here we are, pull that nice and tight, and that's ready for me to trim off my tail of thread now. And there is my beautiful little Russian leaf, and I'm going to add this one onto my charm bracelet here. So I have got a jump ring ready, and use my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to grip that jump ring either side of the opening, just open it up there, slip on my Russian leaf and pop it onto one of the links on my charm bracelet. And I think these charm bracelets are great fun. They're kind of like a patchwork quilt or a sampler, and they're a really great way to see and to use all these beautiful colours of the new size 15 Duracoats. And I think you'll agree, they look so autumnal and so pretty. So I really hope you've enjoyed watching this tutorial, and that you enjoy making your Russian leaves. They do look beautiful on earrings and pendants. You can use them in lots of different designs. So let us know what you think in the comments below. And please do visit our Facebook page to share your makes with us. Thank you. Bye.